Another zero on there, right, Steve?
It's gonna be a long one.
Exactly. That's true.
Look at, yeah, 30. Oh, at least. 32. At least. It's not finished.
Goes for the next.
What did I say this morning? I didn't recognize him. He's like, hey, Kenny, how are you? I said, Joe Grocer. What's going on?
2 minutes, Roger.
How are you? I'm here working. Possibly. So yeah, so I ran into him. He says he's moving in 6 months. He's head for Tennessee, I think he was saying. No, I'm seeing like he said he lost 100 pounds. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Paris Steve is here, so we can start.
I did, and you got me to this, but this says recovery email sent.
Duplication.
No, because I have a password, but they're not letting me.
I'm in.
Oh, here we go. Oh, hopefully the snow is over.
So Peter, can I take notes or something like on this? It still has to be paper. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Can't.
John complains a lot about money. I don't want him to complain anymore, just for a traffic light. He's got a lot of dollars right over tonight, okay? No, somebody else. Somebody else.
I'll relay the message.
Make sure you do. Thank you. Yeah, he couldn't hear me either, though. All right, Roger. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Tonight is the March 23rd, 2023 Town Board meeting. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of announcements before we begin. Unfortunately, I had a presentation tonight for one of the fire district members, but we'll have to do that for next month, unfortunately, but that's okay. We will do it next month. So good evening. Hope everyone's healthy and well. Happy spring. Very busy the past month. As always, I start with Dutchess County Supervisors and Mayors Association meeting. We have those the first Tuesday of every month. We do it on a rotating basis, different location every month. We try to visit all the different towns throughout the county. And this month, I sit on the executive board as well. We had a pre-meeting with the executive board to discuss a few pointers before the general meeting dealing with short-term rentals and or Airbnb law. So New York State is proposing a short-term rental law, which some of us or many of the municipalities in Dutchess County are against. So we worked through and to discuss with all the members, and we put together a letter that is going to the governor's office to voice our concerns about it. And actually, 2 weeks ago, we did have a workshop dedicated to short-term rental or Airbnb law. Tonight, we have a resolution to set a public hearing for July to have the public hearing to establish the law. And it's been a little controversial. We have 42 short-term rental properties in East Fishkill, which I did not know we had that many. The county has a mechanism for counting how many there are, and we had a member of Dutchess County government come to our mayors and supervisors meeting to discuss how many there are and what they have. And basically, the county only cares about collecting the taxes for it when we have to do all the regulation and make sure that everything is in compliance. But we don't have a law currently for East Fishkill, which we will discuss that in July. But those are just some of the things we discuss at Mayors and Supervisors. Great organization, like I say. We help one another regardless of party. It doesn't matter, and really that's the way it should be. I attended a few parades this month, Pauling, the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Actually, it is the shortest parade in the United States, I hear. It's 1.5 blocks long. It's very fun, though. A lot of people attend. Actually, I'd say almost 1,000 people, maybe more. All the businesses love it because all the people who attend the parade visit the businesses. Also, I attended the Dutchess County St. Patrick's Day Parade in the village of Wappinger Falls. The Grand Marshal this year was Councilman Bill Beal from the town of Wappinger. And as usual, a very large grand parade, very well attended, very well organized, and it was a lot of fun. So thank you to the supervisors of Pauling and Wappinger for the invitation. We had some meetings with the Homeowners Association, their new leadership for Four Corners development. Basically, they wanted to get a little handle on what's going on with the water situation. We've been discussing that many, many times. We had a great discussion with them. Myself, our engineering staff, had a very good talk about what the possibilities are. We've been working on this for a long time. This is a serious problem, but their leadership is now in full communication with our engineering department, and we're looking at a few new solutions that have come up recently because of another development potentially going in that Stormville area. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks we could put together even more different types of solutions for them, and we will keep communication. But thank you to the Four Corners Board and their new leadership for reaching out and having that meeting. Thank you. I'm a sitting member of the Dutchess County CDAC Committee. That's the Community Development Advisory Committee. This committee approves and reviews all the grants in Dutchess County. The MIG grant, which is the Municipal Innovations Grant, the CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant, and the APG, the Agency Partnership Grants. It's a very time-demanding committee because there's a lot of applications for each one of those grants. We have to review each of them thoroughly. We discuss and debate about the approvals because the county doesn't have enough money to fund every single application. But this past month, we did give our recommendations to the county executive for the CDBG, the Community Development Block Grants, and that will be announced soon. And for all those who will get approved, congratulations. East Fishkill, we did also have an application. It was for a drainage project in Worley Homes or the Hopewell West Water District. And when things like that happens, when a sitting board member has an application from their community, I recuse myself, or that other member would recuse themselves. The rest of the members of that committee discuss that application. After they're done discussing, then they invite us back to sit in. And we don't get to vote on our application, which makes sense. But I will keep everybody informed if we do receive the grant. I'm very hopeful. I had a call with Housing Action Council. They're the company that handles our affordable housing in town. They make sure that there's no mistakes with the affordable housing, proper notices of resale, all the improvement procedures that have to go on, and of course their annual assessment review, which then goes to our town assessor. We currently have 42 affordable units in town to be managed. It's a lot of work, and I just want to thank Housing Council for all their hard work, and of course my assistant Gina Grippo. She does a tremendous amount of work, and she used to do that whole entire program, and I'm happy that she's not no more because it's just a lot of work, but we're on top of the affordable units in town. I've been having several meetings with several of the owners from the former Dome site on Route 52. This parcel was sold, and it's been approved by the planning board to build a new 530,000 square foot logistics center. Supposedly, it's a Fortune 100 company. We don't know the name of the company yet. The owners have signed a non-disclosure, so I don't really know who they are. All I know is that they are in the automotive field. And from what I know from that is that these are going to be much better paying jobs than the Amazon that is located behind it. Now, I just want people to just keep in mind, when these companies come forward and they want to come and build a new building here, the town board, we don't have a say as to what company that is. We have to just make sure that us and the planning board make sure that all the rules and procedures of the state and the county and the town are adhered to, and if they do, then they get their project. We want the town board, the planning board, everybody in town, we want the best paying companies to come here, obviously, but sometimes they don't, like Amazon. Some people were upset with Amazon. They don't like what they pay or whatnot. But again, that is not up to the town board. We don't decide of what the companies are. But all I do know is that these companies coming here, building, it's very good for our town. It's very good for Dutchess County. It's very good for the entire Hudson Valley. All jobs are good jobs, regardless of what you think, because all those employers are going to be eating, shopping, and spending money. The economic derivative that happens with economic development is huge. It's real, and it's going to help our community. It's going to help the whole entire Southern Dutchess and Hudson Valley. So just a big thank you to all my staff, the town board, who really think and put a lot of work into all these approvals and to make sure that these developments are going to be good for our community. So thank you. And speaking of economic development, I did attend the Dutchess County Economic Development Advisory Council, the EDAC. I also sit on that committee. I am the chairman of the local government committee. This committee is made up of many industry leaders, small and large companies management, several county and local government leaders. We meet every 2 months up at Marist College. And the goal for this whole committee is to make sure to bring economic development to Dutchess County for all the reasons I just said. It's very important for our residents, for our small businesses, and for all these employees to shop and spend their money in our county. We had 2 guests this month come and speak to the EDAC. The first was the new president of Vassar Brothers Medical Center, Susan Browning. And Ms. Browning, she just gave an overview of what Vassar Brothers Medical is doing with their new building, how important it is for them to stay on the very top of the medical provider field, and they're doing that, and they are committed to Dutchess County. The next was the new president and CEO of Central Hudson, Mr. Christopher Capone. And Mr. Capone gave an overview of what's going on with Central Hudson, and of course everybody knows they had some major billing problems recently, and more recently for the last several years. I did have an offline conversation with him afterwards. He was very up to date, knowing that East Fishkill, we did have our own meeting with Central Hudson leadership, and many of their staff came here to our town board meeting, and they pretty much got grilled by the town board, and all the town residents came out to speak. And unfortunately, that's the way it works sometimes. But he did admit that they are working through the issues, that they just please remember that they will never shut off your gas or electric, okay? No matter what the bill is, they will always work with the resident, so please don't fear that. But I did mention that we'd like to have them back, not maybe for a grilling session, but for a meeting and for the residents to come out. He agreed, so I will be giving him a few dates, and I will let everybody know when that will be. But thank you to Ms. Browning and Mr. Capone. They gave nice presentations, and thank you to Dutchess County EDAC as well. Also this month, I attended the Dutchess County Regional Chamber of Commerce's annual gala, also the Orange County annual gala for the Chamber of Commerce there. The Chamber of Commerce, very instrumental group, not only for Dutchess County, Orange County, but all counties, right, in our state. Their job is to promote local businesses, and they do a wonderful job. These big galas, it's great. You get to meet many different business owners, small, large, medium. You get to talk with them, see what they're all about. They do give local awards out. Dutchess County does, Orange County does. And actually, this year, East Fishkill, one of our East Fishkill-owned businesses, did get an award, the Next Generation Award, and it was awarded to Matt Sabelico from Sabelico Greenhouse and Florist, and this award is given to a family business that has a multi-generational continuation. They've been there for 3 generations. They're local farmers. Everybody knows Sabelicos, and it was wonderful to see. I was very, very happy. He gave such a very nice speech. So congratulations to Matt and the Sabelico family for that wonderful award. I attended a meeting with the Dutchess County Transportation Council this month. East Fishkill, we are a permanent member of the council. There are all the supervisors of the larger towns in Dutchess County are permanent members. The smaller towns and villages are on a rotating membership every other year. And also there's other members, Dutchess County Executive Bill O'Neill, the New York State Regional Director for the DOT, Lance McMillan. They have advisory members as well, the Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Authority, the New York State Bridge Authority, the Dutchess County Planner, Owen Rafter, Public Works Commissioner, Bob Balkind. So a lot of input, a lot of different minds that go into the amount of money that New York State and the federal government give to each of these councils, and they administer that money through the TIP, which is the Transportation Improvement Program, and other programs as well. This month we discussed the new Bridge New York program, performance measures, vehicle and pedestrian counts. They do that throughout the county. They try to hit every village and town throughout a 5-year cycle. I think ours was done 2 or 3 years ago. And this council's been proven to be very good for East Fishkill. They have helped us many times. Last time they really assisted us with was the Carroll Drive Bridge project. This project was placed on the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Program. And by the time we got it to go to bid, that proposed budget that they had already was well surpassed. I mean, by like $1 million. So we went to Dutchess County Transportation Council and said that we need them to help us identify more money. They did. Also, our traffic engineering consultants, Hudson Valley Engineering Associates, also helped us as well. But they basically, it was an 80-20 split, 80% by the grant, 20% was the town's share of the bridge project, which is very costly because it's over a $3 million project. But we also then got approved for another grant that would cover 15% of the 20% that we had to pay. So basically it comes down to that the town is only responsible for 5% of that project, which is tremendous and wonderful. So I just like to thank Dutchess County Transportation Council, our staff, and our consulting engineers as well. Last week, we finally had Old Man Winter hit us, right? I'd like to thank our highway superintendent and the highway department. Job well done. It was a big storm, long storm, right? Very long in duration.
24 hours.
24-hour storm. We had a lot of snow here. Upper Stormville had 15, 16 inches, I think. Lower East Fishkill here, I think, had 8 or 10 inches. So it was a doozy. Long for our employees, like the highway superintendent said. We had several conference calls with Central Hudson. They were really on top of that, I have to say. We did have outages. They were on top of that. They were in communication with our police department, our highway department, myself. Like I said, we had a few conference calls. We also had a few conference calls with the county executive. They like to do that when there is large storms with all the mayors and supervisors throughout the county. We get on a Zoom call all together and try to see what towns need more help, mutual aid, help from the county, what have you. The DPW, Sheriff's Office, everybody gets on these calls, and it's really great. So thank you to the County Executive's Office for always offering their assistance, and of course, thank you again to our Highway Department. On Tuesday, I met with Dave Furman, president of the Hopewell Depot, Pat Manning, our economic development director, and Mike O'Brien, our grants director. Also came down was David Whalen. He's the deputy commissioner of Dutchess County Public Works. And also, we discussed the Hopewell Depot. Everybody know where that is, where the rail trail begins in Hopewell. They were given a grant by Dutchess County to do a self-guided tour, which they wanted to change a little bit. So we tried to help facilitate that with the Public Works and the Parks Director, Susan O'Neill. She also came down. And they pretty much agreed. And the Hopewell Depot, just to let everybody know, has gotten a new item. They got a caboose. The town board did give a nice donation. Thank you, town board, to help them out with that. They are restoring it. It is from 1916. It's a really wonderful piece, a great addition to that museum over there. And they're going to have a ribbon cutting for it in June. They're going to be celebrating their 150th year anniversary. They'll be having a little party going on, and they invited a lot of the local high school bands to come and play. And if you haven't been to the depot, please go visit it. It really is wonderful. It's at the head of the Dutchess County Rail Trail, where the Dutchess County Rail Trail begins and the New York State Empire Trail begins, right at that hub. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that all these volunteers came and put that depot back together. It was a burnt mess, and they put all their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and it's really wonderful. So please go see that. But I'd like to thank all the members of the Depot Museum and, of course, Dutchess County Parks and Public Works for their help with that. And with that, that's all I got.
That's it?
That's it. Clerk, call a roll, please.
Councilman Franco?
Present.
Councilman Arco?
Present.
Councilman Marinero?
Present.
Supervisor D'Alessandro?
Present. Thank you, clerk. We do have 2 public hearings tonight. We're going to change the order. First, we're going to open the public. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing considering increasing the senior and volunteer firefighters exemption?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing now open. So New York State changed their legislation to allow an increase to the exemption to increase senior and volunteer firefighters exemption. Would the town attorney like to give us an overview about this, please?
Sure. First of all, with respect to senior exemptions, there are 2 that are currently in effect in the town. One is just for being a senior, and the other is for lower income seniors. And so what we're talking about here is the lower income seniors. Right now, the income cap is $36,000 a year. The law allows the town board to raise that now to $54,000 a year. So that would be the change that's being proposed. I might point out that both of these exemptions would not be effective until the 2024 assessment roll. So it's not this assessment roll, it's the next assessment roll. With respect to the volunteer firefighters, we currently have a very inadequate exemption, and the state legislature has now authorized towns to grant an exemption that is equal to up to 10% of the assessed value of the residence of a volunteer fireman or ambulance corps worker. And it allows the phase-in or the minimum qualification to be at least 3 or up to 5 years experience before, or volunteerism before it kicks in. And it also has an option that would allow a service member who has served for between 20 to 25 years to continue that in retirement. So this evening, the town board would hear public comment and then would adjourn this in that the assessor is waiting for some additional information. Every district that uses our assessment roll must act upon this assessment on their own. So recently, the county just did it. The school district has done it, and the assessor's waiting, but we're served by several school districts in the town, so we're just waiting for that other information, because the application process, if we can make it uniform, then it's a much simpler process for everyone. If it's different levels and different requirements by each district, it gets more complicated. So that basically is a quick summary of what is before the board.
Excellent. Thank you, town attorney. Why don't we open up to the public? Anybody in the audience wish to speak for or against increasing the senior and volunteer firefighters exemption? Commissioner, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Great.
All right, my name is Chris Sheldowski, along with these gentlemen here, Steve Schultes, Steve Dixon, Roy Freer is here, and Corey couldn't be here. I sit on the Board of Commissioners for the East Fishkill Fire District. And behind me are just a few of the 238 volunteers of the East Fishkill Fire District who give their time tirelessly for the citizens of this town. In their day-to-day lives, they're just like their neighbors. They're carpenters, electricians, truck drivers, teachers, doctors, farmers, mechanics, everything that makes up a community. The only obvious difference between these folks and the other citizens of East Fishkill is that the people behind me and the others like them carry one of these little black pagers. Some days their pagers are relatively quiet and they go about their lives knowing all is well in the town. Other days it seems to never stop. But on all of those days, the quiet days, the days when the pager tones relentlessly, these men and women answer the call, every one of them, for our fellow citizens. Last year, the entirely volunteer corps of the East Fishkill Fire District answered 2,840 calls for service in what amounts to, by most measures, among the largest all-volunteer fire districts in the entire nation. That's one call for help roughly every 3 hours from the people of East Fishkill, every day, all year. From trips and falls in the home to motor vehicle collisions with entrapment on the interstate and the parkway, responding to smoke from people burning their dinner, to responding to fully involved structure fires for things the whole town is talking about and the things no one ever hears about. Our volunteers are there, ready for whatever comes their way due to the roughly 2,300 hours of training they put in each year. They did it last year, they're doing it this year, and they'll do it again next year, doing their best to keep up with the ever-increasing traffic, the aging population, the constantly changing profile of the town, increased industrial areas, larger buildings, and more complex emergencies. And those volunteers do this and more selflessly. They don't ask for anything in return. They would not ask for anything in return, so I'm here to ask on their behalf. It's important to understand what this tax exemption means by the numbers. In New York alone, volunteer firefighters save taxpayers around $3 billion annually. That to offer a 10% exemption to volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers does not in any way affect the budget of the town. That of our 238 members, considering multiple members in some households and some members not being the primary owner of their residence, we estimate roughly 100 households will receive this actual exemption. But in households that do have multiple members, the fixed cost of this benefit has a ripple effect. That yes, this does shift some of the burden to other taxpayers, but distributed amounts to what we estimate to be an additional $6 per year for the other households in the district. That every year it becomes more and more difficult to recruit volunteers, and if our fire district ever had to become a paid fire district, those same taxpayers would see an increase of as much as 7 times what they currently pay in fire tax, from a few $100s a year to possibly close to $2,000 a year or more per household. $6 to save hundreds or even thousands. It is, as everyone knows, seemingly popular to state support for our first responders, yet so much of what they do, their dedication, their time, their sacrifice, goes unseen. They go quietly about their days until they're needed, but when they're needed, they're there. A yes vote on this tax exemption is tangible evidence of support, as well as an important message to future prospective members that what they do, too, will be valued. And so, from one board to another, we urge you to follow the school district and the fire district in helping our volunteers and to help protect the citizens of this town and vote in favor of this tax exemption for our first responders. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner. Well said. Anybody else wish to speak for or against our public hearing?
Good evening, everybody.
Now's not the time to be against it, Mr. Sloshower.
At the February 27th school board meeting, unfortunately, due to a snowstorm that day, the meeting was pushed to earlier in the day, and none of the volunteers were able to attend as they had attended the public hearing the previous meeting. So obviously you had mentioned the school board voted unanimously in favor of the exemption. Obviously nobody was there, so I just want to take the opportunity to thank all of you for what you do. It's just, you know, the time and effort and the things that you guys do, it's just a small token of what
of appreciation, I believe, from the entire town and the entire county and everybody else. So nobody was there, so I just wanted to say thank you. And just speaking on my behalf for myself, this is a no-brainer. I think you guys should definitely approve this, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak for or against?
John Paraskivi, you all know me, I'm sure.
Who are you? What's the name?
George.
Oh, George, how are you, sir?
Anyway, I'd like to add to what was said by Chris and others. The day of the storm, we answered 18 calls that day. 18 rescue and fire calls were answered. And I got to give credit where credit is due. The highway commissioner, highway superintendent, and the police department helped us along the way. Our dispatcher has a pager with her, and she knows, and she calls whoever's in that area, and it gets taken care of right away. It's our duty as firemen and highway and police to take care of the community, and I can tell you, the day of the storm last week, we did our job, as well as taking care of the snow, which kept coming and coming and coming. Unfortunately, Tom and I, our attorney here, is in the Carmel School District, and they don't seem to get off their keister to get this thing passed. It's just annoying.
Really?
But those of us that are in East Fishkill that go to the Carmel High School, there's only maybe a dozen of us total. And we're like, again, left out in the cold by our school district. I don't know if some pressure can be put on the Carmel School District. I talked to my son, who's a school board member, and I got nowhere. It's like, yeah, it's not easy. But as Chris said, it's a good thing that we are recognized for what we do. I appreciate that as a member of 50-plus years. And also Steve Schultz is a member of 50-plus years. And we're still out there, and we still do the job in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wish to speak? Board member? Oh, Chief?
I'm John Jackson, First Assistant Chief, East Fishkill Fire District. Would also encourage you to support this change, and I think it would be very beneficial for our members. As was previously stated, we do work together very well with the Highway Department and the Police Department, and things just happen seamlessly, and that's very good. But on behalf of the volunteers, one of the things that I'm in charge of as Assistant Chief is training, and the hours and hours and hours that are put forth are well worth what this would pay back. And so a lot of people go above and beyond the training that they need. We have minimum qualifying standards, but many go above and beyond and do just a phenomenal job and train themselves to a professional standard. And that's, I can't say enough about the members that put the time in to do that. So on their behalf, I would ask that you would support this.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody else wish to speak? No, board members?
I just want to say a couple of words. I mean, I got involved with the East Fishkill Fire Department because of the volunteer in the community. It's extremely important. These people are so dedicated that their professionalism compared to any paid firemen is incredible. Their training is just exactly the same. They train every week. They are dedicated to their job, and they take their job very serious. So again, to say something about being a volunteer when everybody else goes to bed, these guys are up, and if there needs to be, that phone rings, they go and they take care of our community. So it's incredible being with them for a short time to see how really it's a family, they are bonded, and it's a great asset for our community. I mean, I probably would like to see even a little bit more done rather than this small token of appreciation. So I want to thank you guys, and thank you very much for all that you do. And just a few words that I wanted to say to you guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilman. Councilman Arco, anything to add?
You guys said everything pretty much. I've been liaison with Highway and Fire for about 3 months now, and, you know, when we have these storms or have incidences, they all seem to work together seamlessly and kind of know what the next person's going to do, and it's, you know, I'm learning a lot from everybody, which is awesome every day. So, very proud to have you guys supporting us. I'm a resident, we're all residents. You know, you're the first person we call when we need help, so, and you always show up, so it's awesome. Thank you.
Councilman?
Just thank you for all that you guys do. We really, and women, all that you guys do, it's tremendous. And I've dealt with some of you, you know, there was a tragedy next door to my house, and everybody that came there was just absolutely tremendous. And the town, all of us, we all really can't thank you enough, so, for all that you do. We really, really appreciate it. So, and this is going to be a pretty easy vote, so.
Well, like the attorney said, we will be adjourning this public hearing till next month, April 27th, until our assessor gets us more information. But obviously, everybody knows that this doesn't take effect till next year's roll, so it's not paramount that we pass it tonight, but I don't see a problem with that. And of course, thank you all for all you do. And like you said, small and large, people, you know, burning their dinner. If everybody knows, I used to be neighbors with Councilman Marinaro, and he owns a local restaurant. He's a tremendous cook. But in the summer, he would barbecue. He can't barbecue. There'd be big fires in that barbecue in the back. I see big black smoke. I mean, like, what's going on over there? But thank you for putting out his fire there for the barbecue also. But any other comments or questions? No, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing to April 27th?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing adjourned until April 27th. Thank you all for coming out, too. Appreciate that. Okay, second public hearing. Do I have a motion to open a public hearing to set employment qualifications for department heads and deputies?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing now opened. Town attorney, would you give us an overview about
Sure,
this?
there's a little housekeeping required by civil service. We have Chapter 27 of the Town Code, and it required some updating. Believe it or not, there are some requirements in state law with respect to certain jobs within the town be filled by town residents, and that is our preference normally when you hire. But the civil service list also requires that you hire from amongst the three most qualified, three highest scorers on the list, and sometimes that conflicts. So civil service has indicated that we need to adopt this law to resolve that issue. Additionally, the board's chosen to put in for any licensed professionals who may work for the town at least a 5-year experience requirement, which would, if you have it in the law, you can enforce it through any requirement. So that's really the gist of it, just to keep us happy with civil
Keep
service.
us up to date, right?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody in the audience wish to speak for or against the updating of the qualifications for department heads and deputies? Any town board member comments, concerns, questions? That's pretty straightforward, like the attorney discussed. Civil service requirements us to update our policies. Oh, okay, with that, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing now closed. Do I have a motion to adopt the negative declaration in local law?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing, law now passed. Thank you. Okay, we do have minutes. February 9, 2023. Everybody received the February 9, 2023 minutes. Clerk, any changes, alterations? Nope. No? Do I have a motion to approve February 9, 2023 minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes now approved, thank you. No additions to the agenda. Courtesy of the floor. At this time, any members of the audience wish to speak again for any of our resolutions tonight or any general town issues, please come up, use the microphone, speak, just let us know your name and where you live. Nothing? Where's Bobby Grasso? Where is he? He's not coming
Say his name
over?
3 times on the field.
Coming? Okay, so with that, we do have 3 items for receipt and file. There's letters from Beekman Town Clerk to amending their code. Also notice from the town of Fishkill regarding a comprehensive plan that they're planning, and also a request to purchase a portion of Green Road, which is a paper road. That request is going to the Highway Department. As everybody should know, all the town roads in the town are under the jurisdiction of our highway superintendent. So our clerk has all those at his office if anybody wishes to read them. Okay, resolutions. First resolution we will table tonight. Resolution number 2, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, we authorize 2 police officers to attend the New York State Child Safety Training, May 2nd to May 4th.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So we do a lot of, our police department does a lot with child safety, right, Chief?
Yes, sir, we do.
Yeah, so who will be the 2 officers?
That would be Officer Vollmer
Okay,
and Officer Montagna. They'll be attending the New York State Child Seat Technician School. Helps them to keep up with all the new manufacturers, all the new devices, and the required training. We do it every couple of years to keep them certified.
okay, excellent. Any comments or questions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we actually get certified to train here?
We could, yes.
Okay, so that way we
They
can...
would be certified as instructors in that.
Correct. How much addition, do you know how much additional time that would take?
I have no idea. I'll research that and get back to you.
Great, thank you.
So then maybe we should amend it to have Councilman Arco attend the conference center at Lake Placid for Safety Technical Conference. Do you want to attend, Councilman?
I'll go if you want me to go.
It's up to you, not up to me.
No, I'm just thinking if we can offer training in-house, then we offer it in-house if we can get certified for it.
Yeah.
Reduces the cost.
You want to attend, tell us now. We add you to the list here. If not, then...
No, I'm good.
Okay, very good. We'll leave it to the experts, right, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Resolution 3, Councilman Franco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we award the bid for the Carroll Drive Bridge replacement to OCS Industries for $2,781,005.36.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So this is a long time coming. So if you look at the bids, like I mentioned in my comments, it was almost $3 million for this bridge, I believe, when it got placed on the tip. Correct me if I'm wrong, engineer, I think it was like 1.4.
Pretty close to that.
Yeah, almost.
5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago. So the lowest bid was 2.7 million. So think about that in 5 years of what this is. And like I said in my comments, thank you to Dutchess County Transportation and our Hudson Valley Engineering staff for assisting with finding extra dollars to get this job done. Engineer, would you like to make any comments about this?
We met with the contractor last week, vetted him out. They're anxious to get going. We do have to wait for New York State DOT to also approve them as the contractor, so that paperwork can be submitted once the town passes this resolution if they choose to. And then once that's going, they can start with the procurement of materials. They are hopeful they can complete that project this year.
And all the permits have been acquired for DEC and all the others?
Yeah.
And how long was that process? Just to let the public under, I know,
I
but...
mean, the whole design process was 2 years or more, and just so people understand, you know, a big consideration was whether or not to put a temporary structure in.
Right.
And be able to tear out the old structure in its, you know, entirety and put a temporary structure in, but the cost of putting in a temporary structure, you know, increased the budget. But we weighed that against, can we safely get equipment over that existing bridge? We were like, cut it in half, which is ultimately what we chose to do. Saves a lot of money, but we really wanted to have a contractor who could handle that kind of scope of work. So I think we're comfortable that we have a good project and it can get done in one season, and hope that's the way it plans out.
Excellent. I know the residents across that bridge want to make sure it is.
I will say this, that if for any reason the DOT delays it, if there's a problem up front securing materials, there is the potential to push it till next year. We don't want to have half the structure built over the winter. with
No way,
single
right.
traffic. So the idea is we want to be able to do it all in a single season, and hopefully it'll be this year.
Excellent.
And Supervisor, you should maybe point out, there were 8 bidders for this project, and the highest was $4 million, 4.2.
4.2, yep.
And also that there's grant funding going to cover most of the cost.
Yeah, I made that comment in my supervisor's comments. Originally, when this was placed on the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Program, it's an 80-20 split, 80% by the grant, by the administration, the federal funds and state funds, and 20% by the town. We did also acquire another grant that supplied 15 of the 20% to be paid by another grant. So we're only on the hook for 5% for the town, so
Scott,
very happy about that.
Scott, what's the time frame from the day we start to the day the project is finished?
This season. So hopefully we get started like around in June, and the idea is to finish before the asphalt plants close, which they close in November.
Okay.
We hope. Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed?
will abstain from this vote.
One abstention, clerk?
Yep.
Resolution passed, thank you. Resolution number 4, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, we appoint Nicholas Mascorley as a part-time police assistant.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So there's no shortage, there is a shortage of police assistants, that's for sure, right, Chief?
Yes, there are.
So, Mr. McSorley, he will begin work tomorrow.
I'm going to call him as soon as we're done.
I'm sure you will. His hourly rate will be $19.75. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay. Resolution 5, Councilman Narco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we authorize the Animal Control Officer to attend the annual training program by the Department of Agriculture, April 19th to April 20th.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Chief?
So our dog warden, our dog control officer will send him for training every 2 to 3 years. So that window has come up now. And this is a very detailed, specific conference and training session for agriculture and markets law, and also for dangerous dogs, which we recently had something to deal with. So it's his turn to go for the training for this, so we can keep him up to date. And it will be overnight.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. I have a motion and a second. We can amend this, Councilman Narco, if you want to attend this one, too.
No, it's okay. I'm good.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution 6, Councilman Franco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we appoint Loretta Rosa in the Recreation Department at level 4 of the CSEA contract.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So we did have an open position in the Recreation Department. Our rec director did leave us, and we have now Christine Selbach was our assistant rec director, moved to rec director, so we had an opening, which this will be filled by Ms. Rosa. Any comments?
This is perfect timing. Things are
Yeah,
starting
it's
to
a
pick
good
up.
time now, that's for sure.
Opening days are starting up. It's
Yep.
getting warmer. Kids are getting outside. So this is a very good hire. So we're very happy.
Excellent. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, Resolution 7, Councilman Narco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we authorize the use of the Hopewell Recreation Area by the Sons of Italy on May 25th through May 28th and grant fireworks permits for same.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Oh, it's that time of year again. They're coming. Carnival's coming. Parents, get ready. All right? Get money extra on the side for the kiddies to ride the rides. cotton candy, the whole 9 yards, right? Sausage and peppers
Sausage and
for the
pepper.
fathers. This will be for Memorial Day, as we all know, May 25th to the 28th, and ending with fireworks, which is always very, very nice. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Resolution 8, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we authorize a contract with Legacy Supply Incorporation for $297,976 to construct well number 5 in the Four Corners Water District.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So as I mentioned in my supervisor's announcements, we did meet with the Four Corners Homeowners Association recently, their new leadership, to discuss what's going on with their water system. We've been discussing this many, many times. The Four Corners Water District had several issues with some wells. We dug another well that had a color issue. The Department of Health didn't like it because the color was off. It cost a lot of money to dig that well, but it is what it is. Town engineer, would you want to add something to this, please?
Well, this contract is to install the pump, piping, and electrical controls to bring the new well number 5 online at Four Corners. This well produces about 60 gallons per minute based on test results. The well that we lost was more in the range of 130 to 150 gallons per minute. So this does not replace that well, but it does.
It helps.
Redundancy for normal operating conditions, which is to say potable water. So.
Right.
We are also looking at doing a rehab in the very near future of well 4 that we're having problems with right now. After that well is down to one well right now. That's how critical it is at Four Corners, but we do plan on getting that rehab done. So I think we really did that contract.
Okay, and
The bid just came in, and I might be off on that a little bit, but I know we are trying to get that going. We're under emergency on that.
yes, we are. And you're comfortable with Legacy Supply? I know we've done business with them in the past.
Legacy Supply did Presidential Way connection many years ago, and they more recently did the interconnection from Hamlet to Fishkill Plains.
Excellent. Okay, any discussion, any comments, questions from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, Resolution 9, Councilman Franco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we authorize a contract with Weston and Sampson for $94,346 for rehab of wells 1 and 2 in the Fishkill Plains Water District.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So we had this a few years ago as well. Every few years, we have to rehab these wells.
5 or 6 years ago.
5 or 6 already. Well, time flies. So can you describe, engineer, what happens, why we have to rehab these wells? What happens to the well exactly?
So Fishkill Plains has a high iron and manganese concentration. And about 10 years ago, we put a filtration system in to take the iron and manganese out of the drinking water. People used to come in with containers, shake them up, and it'd be brown. Okay, you couldn't maintain chlorine residual. This was before we took the system over. We took the system over, we spent upwards, I think, of $1 million to put the filtration system in, and that takes care of the potable water. But the iron and manganese is still in the ground. What it does, it clogs the well screens. Now, in the past, we let it go really too long, and the production of these wells originally were like 300-gallon wells when they were originally drilled. I think now, again, we're running in the 150 to 175 range because rehab had never been done for decades. So we want to preserve where we are right now at that mark, 150, 175, and we want to do it regularly. And it's about 5 years now. And we are starting to see a diminish in the yield of those wells. And by having this interconnection, I just want to point out that in Hamlet now, we are able to shut off those wells for an extended period of time, supply water from the Hamlet to Fishkill Plains and Brentfield and Worley Homes and Revere, while we take time to do this rehab. And I think that was part of the reason why it had never been rehabbed in the past, because there was no alternate source.
Right. So that interconnection was key.
Key to being able to.
And that was part of my comment, saying, so for the residents of these water districts, so you understand, a lot of time and work goes into this. When we originally contracted, did an initial contract with Dutchess County for an allotment of water that we have at our disposal, because we never know at what time or when we have to rehab a well or dig a well or lose a well. So this is critical that we have this interconnection point with Dutchess County, and we have a contract in place to utilize a certain amount of water at any time we need it, that we could turn it on, turn the valve, give them notice. And it's just a lot of work. We have to meet with the joint water boards, the Dutchess County Water Wastewater Authority, it's the health department. It's a lot of work. So I just want to explain to the public so they understand that, and that be safe to know that there's always a redundant source of water, especially.
So important. We have many more projects on the table, but this interconnections and redundancy is so important.
Very. Yeah, thank you, engineer.
So Scott, we have 3 wells over there?
We have currently 2 wells that are operating. We have a 3rd well that we drilled, which is a high producer, but it's going to require yet another filtration system. So that's another $500,000. So we're have that on the back burner right now as we evaluate, a real holistic town-wide approach, whether we want to actually bring that well online. We do have the interconnection right now, so it's not an emergency, but it's good to know that we have it and it's an option should we ever need to move forward with it.
And as far as the cost, I know in the past I got a lot of phone calls from the residents. Doug knows. The cost of the repairs or upgrades are shared by everybody that is using the water in that district, correct?
Fishkill Plains, it's Breadview, it's now Revere and Worley, or Hopewell West, I should say.
Just to make that clear to the residents.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Thank you. Resolution 10, Councilman Arco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we acknowledge April as Parkinson's Awareness Month.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So April is proclaimed Worldwide Parkinson's Awareness Month, a very terrible disease. Want to give some clarity of why we do this. We'd like to show support for the people who deal with the disease, and also the family members who deal with their loved ones who go through this terrible disease. So that's why we do resolutions like this. Any comments from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 11, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we acknowledge April as the National Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So same idea here, April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Just want to read a statistic in the resolution that statistics show 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday. 5 children die a day in the U.S. In Dutchess County, over 1,000 cases of child abuse are reported each year, and about 5 times as many go unreported. Crazy statistic. And the last whereas is National Child Abuse Prevention Month recognizes the importance of families and communities working together to strengthen families to prevent child abuse and neglect. So very, very important to put awareness to these sort of things that happen in our community that we don't even know. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 12, Councilman Franco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we authorize the town clerk to attend the Town Clerks Association Conference, April 23rd to April 26th in Syracuse.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Don't worry, Councilman Arco, I won't say to attend this, because nobody wants to go with the town clerk anywhere.
I want to go to Syracuse.
Yeah, that's good. You should go there. Can we add something to the resolution that he's allowed only $25 a day for food?
It's included. It's included. Better.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Have fun in Syracuse, clerk. Number 13 is removed. Number 14, Councilman Arco?
Mr. Supervisor, I move we authorize a letter of support to New York State DOT for removal of 2 non-operational traffic signals at Rethel Drive and North, was it Rothel?
Rothel.
Rothel Drive and North Drive on Route 52.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Engineer?
Well, we do not own these traffic signals. They were formerly part of the IBM campus, but DOT will not allow their removal unless we consent to it, which we do. There were 2 projects, Frito-Lay and the Logistics Center, at these 2 locations, and their analysis, which our traffic consultant reviewed and agreed with, do not warrant these traffic signals.
And just to be clear, all those companies have participated in our traffic improvement area
Correct.
for all the traffic mitigation plan that we have currently there?
Yes, and just for the people on Rothel, if you're listening at home, that existing entrance onto what used to be South Road is being eliminated, and that entrance is being moved to the west. So it's no longer going to line up with Rothel side.
Thank you, town engineer.
It's actually going to be gated, and it's going to be a private driveway to that, to the new site there.
Excellent. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 15, Councilman Franco?
Mr. Supervisor, I move we acknowledge hiring of 4 seasonal laborers by the highway superintendent at $18 an hour.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So all I hear is the highway superintendent coming in my office week after week saying he doesn't have enough staff. If anybody out there is looking for any part-time work, please come to the highway department, because the town highway superintendent is begging, and I need to hire more people for him. So please, if you want to work, part-time work for the highway department, come to East Fishkill Highway Department. We will hire you.
Highway and recreation.
And recreation, please. It's a good job. You work outdoors. It's
It's
nice.
getting harder to find people that want to come out and do that.
Maybe they don't want to work for you.
Maybe.
Ah, see, you didn't think of that, right?
18.
Full-time seasonals, too, more.
Full-time seasonals as well, right? Thank you, Comptroller, you're right. Full-time seasonal, part-time employees, we're looking for them all. Please come.
Thank you, Nick.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, number 16, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we declare the personal property on the attached list as surplus and authorize auction of the same.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So this surplus generators for Water and Sewer Department, 1, 2, 3, right? 3 generators. Those been replaced, right?
Yes. Replaced or no longer needed, like in the case of Revere Park. No longer needed. We had one, I think, from the Hopewell Hamlet that was replaced. I'm not quite sure the third one, but they're all been replaced or not needed anymore.
Okay. And also, there's that Dell server cabinet that will be surplus. And you can't bid, Councilman, you're a town employee, so sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Councilman Arco, number 17.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we appoint Lisa Argyle as chair and John Chiskowski, Nicole Scaramuzzo, is that- Scaramuzzo, and Kim Sims to the Board of Assessment Review.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So we were looking for members of the Board of Assessment Review. We did have interviews with our assessor, and this was her recommendations. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, number 18, Councilman Franco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we appoint Marianne Flores as member and John Greenan and John Giovanoli as alternate members of the Planning Board, and Art Mahoney as a member and John Buckley as alternate on the Zoning Board.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Clerk, you want to call a roll then?
Councilman Arco.
Oppose.
Councilman Marinero.
Aye.
Councilman Franco.
Oppose?
Supervisor Delisandro.
Aye. So motion is denied.
Fails.
Okay, we'll see what to do with that then. So, number 19, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we declare the town board as lead agency for the Phillips Road and Route 216 realignment project.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So finally, and I'm sure all the first responders here will agree, we're going to do something with that bad curve on Route 216. It's a horrible curve. We all know there was, I don't know, maybe one definite, maybe two deaths there. I'm not sure, but definitely one, maybe two deaths there. And we have spoken with the property owner that owns that field, and they're willing to come into contract with the town so we can move that entrance to Phillips Road. What would that be, south?
Correct.
So down closer towards the plazas, right? So that would be much better to get access in and out of there, because it's just horrible for that curve. I know there was a horrible motorcycle accident there last year. It's just terrible. So this is a long time coming. I'm happy that we're finally getting to do this. Any comments or questions from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 20, Councilman Arco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we accept a grant of $1,793,520 with a 20% local match for a sidewalk network on Route 52 from John Jay High School to Town Soccer Complex to Pelham Road.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So we have a lot going on down Route 52, especially by John Jay High School. That's at the juncture where the West Campus is, and we have a new building going up very shortly. We had a traffic mitigation plan that went in. We put a roundabout. We have a new Patriot Drive there, and it is appropriate to have all sidewalk connections. There's a lot of students that walk that road. They walk down to the lot down by the soccer complex, and they cross the road to go to the plaza. So we need good sidewalks there. So the town said, let's apply for the grant, and we did get approved. It's an 80-20 match, which is fine because we would do it anyway. So we're very happy that we did get the grant. Anything to add, engineer?
Yeah, as part of the roundabout project, we did install some sidewalk, but this will fill in the gaps and put a complete network in that area.
Excellent.
And the 20% match will be paid for by developers on that corridor, so the taxpayers won't.
That's right. Thank you for adding that. I forgot. Yes, our residents won't be paying for any of that 20%. It will be by the developers in that district.
So Scott, one last question. I know it doesn't regard the sidewalks, but I've had people ask me questions. When is the final code on that roundabout is going to happen?
We are meeting with that contractor next week to establish a final schedule. So asphalt plants will be opening next month, and we anticipate, we're going to discuss whether we want to pay while school's in session or out of session. That'll be something we'll discuss, but it'll certainly be before the fall.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 21, Councilman Franco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we set a public hearing for July 27th, 2023 at 6 p.m. to consider regulations on short-term rentals.
Yes, I'd like to make amendment on the resolution. On the amendment, on the bottom of the resolution, therefore be it resolved, January 27, 2023, it says 7 p.m. Please amend that to 6 p.m. And do I have a motion to approve as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 22, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we refer the proposal updated town zoning map to the planning board for comment.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So our zoning map was really out of whack. So our planner, to her credit, thank you, Michelle Robbins, our town planner, reached out to Dutchess County Planning and Development, and they says, you know what, we're going to help you. And they came in, they reviewed all our zoning, and now they have a draft of our official town zoning map. So it's very important to have this correct, and it wasn't correct, so we're happy to have this. Now this will be referred to the zoning board, the planning board for their review. Any discussion?
So Scott, what does this resolution entail? I mean, I'm missing that document in my file, but what, can you tell us?
This means that we're planning, we are mapping our zoning map, our official zoning map. Dutchess County Planning did the map for us. So we're going to refer to the planning board for them to review and give us any comments if they think there's anything wrong with it, or they think we should add something.
All right.
And then it comes back to us, once they approve it, for us to give the final approval. Correct, Attorney?
Right, and also it's going to be interactive, so you'll be able to touch a parcel, and it will tell you what the zoning is. Because our current map is from the 70s or 80s, and it's just like a watercolor of general areas, and we often have disputes when someone's right on a boundary line, so this is clearing that up. It's not changing anyone's zoning designation, it's just putting it on a map that you'll be able to see what your lot is zoned as.
Yeah, the current map looks like Monet, was with the colors all over the place, so had to fix that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. So I'm going to change my order of some things right now. That was 22, thank you. Number 29, Councilman Arco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we authorize the use of American Rescue Plan Act funds allocated to Four Corners Well 5 for the well construction previously awarded.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Engineer, you want to give a brief description? So just before he does, we had ARPA funds from the federal government, and we dispersed them. We had a resolution last year to say that we're going to spend this money with all our water and sewer districts, and we divided it up as to what needed what, who needed more because of need and necessity, and this is, we're identifying Four Corners well number 5, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any comments or questions about that? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Sorry to put it out of order, but there's a reason to my madness, because we will, I'll tell you that in a minute. Management review. Okay, thank you, sir. Good, thank you. Have a good night. Our town engineer had to leave, so that's why I wanted to make sure in case board members needed comments for 29. Number 23, Councilman Arco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we adopt a fee for zoning verification statement to reimburse the cost of preparing the same.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Attorney?
Sure. Pardon me. The planning department wants to institute a new process. We get many calls, they get calls about what can I do with this property? What's the zoning allow? are there any issues with this product, et cetera. So rather than and the problem we have is when someone calls and asks that, they don't necessarily fully disclose what they're interested in doing. They tell a generalized statement, then they go and it gets to a point where they come in and say, well, I called and somebody told me that. So this would have them fill out a little form, one-page sheet, put a written description of what the proposed use would be of an existing building or property. They submit it, and then they will get in writing exactly what is allowed on this site under zoning, or based on what they're requesting. So we hope it's going to lessen any confusion, clarify issues, and prevents any problems. Because many people do this at the beginning of trying to sell a building, et cetera, before they get into the nitty-gritty of a municipal search. So there is a slight fee that would be set by this. It's minimal for residential property, and then for commercial and industrial, it's slightly more.
So we get many, many of these, and it's very time-consuming, especially when it comes for the commercial and the industrial ones. So we have to make sure that it's correct, and that's why we're doing just a nominal fee for residential, but a little higher fee for commercial, and of course, industrial with the most.
So these are new fees, we didn't have these fees.
No, this is a whole new form.
Yeah, it's a whole new,
Yeah.
$99 is for the residential,
Yeah.
it's $150
Because
for
we get all
commercial.
these realtors, everybody calling, oh, what's the zoning for this, what's the zoning for that? And then they hear it off incorrectly, and then they come back and say, well, you told me this is the zoning, and this one said it incorrectly. We want to make it official, give an official document, and have the correct people review it. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 24, Councilman Franco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we acknowledge Arbor Day in the town.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
A discussion? Arbor Day is coming up, and we would like to acknowledge that. We will be having celebrations. We will be posting it on our website, social media, for everybody to know. And it's about planting trees. Trees are very important. That's why a lot of people moved here. We have a lot of trees. We love trees. I do. And actually, the town benefits from forestry substantially. We thousands of dollars towards our town in economic revenue because of forestry. So I'm very happy to support Arbor Day. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 25, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we authorize a request for proposal for records management review.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So all records are in the hands of the town clerk. He's in charge of them all. You imagine you're in charge of all the records of the town? God help us. So this will help him
You're on fire
manage all the records. This is actually just an RFQ, request for qualifications, where you'll be seeking a grant for the management of all the records. And
Who are we hiring?
well, we don't know. This is what we're going to find out. Get a list of qualified people.
So what specifically is this all about anyway?
Clerk?
Right now, quick note, we pay 35,
Between 30 and 35,000.
between $30,000 and $35,000 a year to Iron Mountain across the river,
Okay.
just
We
to
wanna get
store
rid of
records.
that.
And we want to get rid of that eventually. I want to get rid of it anyway.
Okay.
We only bring back, out of all those records, maybe 40 or 50 a year. So, we're paying that kind of money for what? Do we even need those records? That's what these companies do.
They'll look through them, say what
Because
we
there's
keep or
certain
not.
time lengths that we have to keep each record. Certain things we got to keep 5 years, 7 years, 10 years,
Forever.
forever.
So these are all kinds of records?
These are all kinds of records.
Building,
What's
Or,
the only thing that's not there predominantly are the police records. He pulled them back, what did we say, 4 years ago?
Probably 4 years ago, yeah.
About 4 years ago. If those weren't there, that'd be costing us probably about another 10,000.
More than that.
10,000 a year on top of it.
Yeah.
But there's a couple different grants that I'm hoping to go after. First, we got to do a preliminary study, so then we can apply for the grants. And then there is one through the courts that we'll try to apply for too, because all those records are there too, from when Nick got his first speeding ticket when he was 15 years old.
15!
In front of
Judge Wood. So,
I think
Oh, you weren't on the bench that long ago.
I think Pete is a little modest, is that the state education department promulgates the rules. It's about 400 pages of rules about how you're supposed to have, what records you can keep and everything. So he's trying to update us and keep us current on that, and these folks come in and will assist them in making those determinations.
right.
And catalog them all, too. They have a register of every single record.
So, I mean, obviously, for our goal, number one, of course, is we have to do proper records management. Number two is we don't want to pay Iron Mountain anymore. When I became supervisor, I remember my first budget was a tough budget. We had to cut a lot. And I'm looking through the budget, and I see this for records. It was $25,000 then. So I'm like, what are we spending $25,000 on? He goes, well, that's all the files that go to Iron Mountain. So the police chief at the time, we said, well, how are we going to, I want to get rid of these. Let's start with the police department. So the police chief then, we took out all the, or not all, some of the police files. And then when Chief Bellino came in, we took all the rest of them. So now, fast forward 5 years later, and it's $35,000, and we removed all the police department records. So it went up, and we removed records. So we got to get rid of them.
And the book is 411 pages.
Oh, excuse me.
On rules, on what you're supposed to do.
And the police. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Councilman Arco, you could go with the clerk for the records management conference.
Okay.
Okay, 26, Councilman Arco, 26.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we establish a capital reserve fund for paving, reconstruction, et cetera, of town roads, and we appropriate $2 million of the general fund balance to the reserve fund.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So we've been discussing this for a little bit now. Our savings account, the town's savings account is pretty much at the levels that we can't grow past, and we should be planning to do something with those dollars. And what we're planning to do is set a capital reserve fund for paving. That means we can't use that money for anything else other than paving. Every time we want to use it for paving, we have to have a separate resolution. We have to make sure that it's voted upon, and all the board has to approve it. So those dollars will go into like a lockbox for paving and only be used for that. So you got $2 million more coming, pal.
Great, thank you, guys. We
It's
really
needed.
appreciate it. It's very much needed.
So I want to say a couple of things about this.
Oh, not too many.
So I know we've been discussing this. There is, in the last few years, there was a really big push by the community to pave roads. And we were thinking at one time to increase the taxes to the taxpayer for that purpose. So now we do have money available. And I know I spoke to the town supervisor about this in private. I want to see a lot more of this money spent on paving. So I personally would see at least a $3.5 million put in this budget for this purpose. We do have the money. I think the fund's available. I checked with the controller. We have over $10 million available. This will be a drop in the bucket. I think it's very badly needed. And I don't think that we would detriment the budget, the fund balance in any way by doing this. So please, for the need of the community, let's put at least $3.5 million in this fund tonight.
Well, I have a...
Councilman, can I respond? Councilman, I agree with you, and I would like to see even more. But I think what we may have to do, maybe have an executive session or another meeting where we can discuss, because we do have other issues in town. I know Recreation has issues, Highway has other issues too. We need some other buildings, we need some updates on other things. I just don't want to put all of a big portion in one pot, and see if we can spread it out and we can help other departments as well. I do agree, I know that this has been an ongoing issue. I think 2 million's a good start, 3.5, we never know what's around the corner for a lot of things. But I do know that there are a lot of other issues in town that do need a little bit of an extra cash on.
So I just want to say, this is a friendly discussion about this. I wanted to see, I said it to the town supervisor in private, a $5 million project spent this year for between what's budgeted for in the budget for highway, the savings there, hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, no more snow. But,
You jinxed us last time, you know that, right?
well, I took the plow off my truck and that was the issue. I shouldn't have.
Leave that plow on, man.
But this is extremely necessary. We had a big discussion in the past about this, and we almost taxed the taxpayers. Now we have the money. I mean, I understand.
Councilman, $5 million is foolish, I'm sorry to tell you. We are at an all-time high gas and asphalt
I'm not saying we have to spend it all at once,
I'm
but
just
putting
telling
it in
you.
this fund would safeguard the spending. I know we still don't have, what are the bids for the blacktop, right? Did they come out yet?
Not yet.
As far as, so we don't know. But what I'm saying is.
You know they're high. Everybody sees you go to the pump. You pay more for gas now?
I understand, but at what point do we need to address? Nick, right now, we do have the funds.
You know how much you need to pave the town? $50 million, not 5.
I understand.
50.
I understand, but if we don't, like,
That's why
put in
we're
$2
doing
million,
this. Yeah, that's wonderful.
it's not much money.
I'll just point out, it's in addition to the million
Correct.
operating budget.
That's what I'm
each
saying.
year.
If we put 3.5 plus, he has $1 million in the budget, and maybe we have another 600,000-700,000 saved for the snow this year, it's close to that number.
And
Now, should that money be spent all at once? I don't think so.
Right.
That's at his discretion.
Well,
But
it's-
at least it's there.
And starting with the 2 doesn't preclude you from adding later if it makes sense.
Of course.
So if it's not going to be all spent this year, then you have an opportunity to have the discussion and see if you want to add more later.
And this money.
It's like if I have $10,000, I go to the casino, and I have it in my pocket, and I say, I'm not going to spend it all. And then you sit at a table and you end up spending more than that. So what I'm saying is, if we put the money there and we allow them to say, okay, you have this money there, next year that money is there for that purpose. If we have a bad year of revenue, at least we know that we have some of the money there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen.
If we have a bad year of revenue,
But I don't think it's gonna happen.
You can't use that money towards
what I
the
was gonna
general
say.
fund.
I don't think it's going to happen. The way things are going right now, I don't think it's going to happen.
But if we put
We
that
don't-
money,
I don't have a crystal ball.
if we.
I understand, but
I set the budget every year. We don't have a crystal ball. You try to be very prudent. That's why since I've been supervisor, we built up the most fund balance we've ever had in the history of the town.
and that's okay. I'm in full agreement with that, but sometimes we need to spend the money. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's
we do
foolish to
have
spend it
it,
now.
we do have it, and I'm not saying that we got to spend it all this year. But if the prices are right, why not do more? That's all I'm saying.
I think we do want to do more. My concern also is if we put it in this so-called lockbox, that means it can only be used, obviously, exclusively for paving. What if there's an issue? Are we going to be able to, if, God forbid, something bad happens?
Can't
and we
touch it
need-
for
we
anything
won't be
else.
able- So I don't want to hamstring us like that, not with 5 million.
Can we add line items to this, like vehicles that would be used in the
Separate
paving
reserve.
process?
That'd be a separate capital fund.
Yeah.
Each capital fund has to be for one designated purpose.
Okay.
Look, guys, let's be realistic over here. I followed the budget of the highway department for the last 20 years, okay? And there were money there specific for paving, that were not used for paving, and that's why we ended up being where we are.
No,
This guy over here,
Councilman.
this guy over here that we have now is very conscious conscious
Yes.
about what it does, and we are also.
Yes, but Councilman, if you look back at the past 20 years, and I've sat on this board for 12 years, 13 years now, okay, you know that dollars have been diverted, and you've been on it for 8 years, diverted from paving, which you shouldn't have, to defer tax increases to the public when those dollars were diverted in the budget to offset tax increases, because there were bad years with no mortgage taxes, bad sales tax years. We don't know what happens. You don't know what can happen. That's why you save money, just like you, let's be realistic. At your house, you save money and put it in the bank account because you don't know what can happen. And that's why we have a bank
I
account.
agree, but right now we have some revenue because
Yes,
we've
that's why we're
invested.
putting $2 million into
We have
this
invested
account.
in the industrial area over there, so we know how much money it's going to generate. It's not that we're working in a blind. If we were working, it says, where do you think the money is going to come from? I wouldn't open my mouth to now. But I know that the industrial area is going to produce revenue. So I am confident that the money is going to be coming in.
Yes, money is going to come in to offset other charges. Do you see the curtail of the mortgage tax? Because I do. I see it every month. The comptroller, have you seen the mortgage tax revenues decrease?
My guess, based on what we've seen so far this year, is that mortgage taxes will be about $1 million less than 2 years ago. So, and maybe 600,000 less than this year.
That's
past year.
our revenue, meaning what we get in. So that's $1 million less. That money's got to come from somewhere. I don't want it to come from the taxpayer. I don't want to increase taxes.
Just one
That's
last-
why we have money in the bank account to use it to offset.
One last comment to make. It seems like there are a couple of projects coming into town that are going to create a lot of revenue for that purpose.
Well,
I would wait till the revenue arrives and then make the decision. It's just, you never know what's going to happen.
No, a lot of those companies do not take mortgages.
But the houses are sold.
Amazon, no. Oh, houses.
The houses are sold.
Oh, I thought you meant
So if you
commercial.
have 300 houses sold, you do the math, you see how much revenue that is.
Yeah, well, they haven't even been approved. You're probably 2 to 3 years out at least for one of those projects being approved. One's being halted by the DEC. You watch the planning board meetings, you understand.
I know, but look, it's very badly needed. That is my 2 cents. Again, I hope that, and
Okay, well, we can always put it-
Councilman Franco, he knows how bad he walks the streets, he knows what's going on.
Trust me, I
You know, and
understand
so
too.
does
Yeah, we
everybody
hear
else
from
on
the
board. I mean,
residents.
it's not an easy decision to make. We don't want to, I don't think we spend money foolishly. That's my 2 cents.
Absolutely not. That's why we have it. That's why we're putting a capital reserve fund starting with $2 million. And if revenues come in, like you say, hopefully from the commercial sector or even the residential, then we can put more. That doesn't say we can't do another resolution next year if our mortgage tax turns around and we don't need to take any savings to offset our budget. No problem, put another $2 million in. Right. Put more. But we don't know, that's why you have to be prudent. Not only being prudent raising taxes, but you got to be prudent on what you put in a capital reserve fund, because it has very, very strict regulations on how to spend the money.
Raising taxes definitely is not one of my favorite things.
Exactly.
I will never vote for that.
So then there you go. That's why we keep these available tools to the board. So where are we at? Do we have a motion and a second?
Yes, you do.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All, motion approved, thank you. All approved. Okay, number 27, Councilman Franco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we establish a facial hair policy for police officers.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So this was asked for by the PBA to the chief, and after discussing with the town board, we came up with the policy, the chief, I'm sorry, came up with the policy to make sure that everything, they're allowed beards, but it had to be edged and trimmed, can't exceed half an inch, mustache trimmed in a manner not to conceal any portions of the top lip, yada, yada, yada. So they'll still look very presentable, right, chief?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 28, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we award the summer concession stand use for 2023 following a request for proposal.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. This we do every year. The Route 52 Soccer Complex, the Hopewell Recreation Concession, the Red Wing Park Concession Facility, all have the bidders, all are listed in the resolution. Amani's Kitchen, the East Fishkill Soccer Club, and Amani's Kitchen, too, for Red Wing Park. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 30, Councilman Franco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we authorize the hiring of a seasonal laborer in Water Sewer Department at $18 an hour.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
We usually hire a seasonal laborer for the water and sewer every summer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 31, Councilman Marinaro.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we appoint Heidi Waskita as typist in the building department at $19.75 per hour per the CSEA contract.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a second?
Second.
This is appointing a full-time typist, sorely needed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 32, Councilman Arco.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we award the highway materials bid to the lowest responsible bidders for the various materials.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Highway Sue.
Peter and I have been working very hard. I also are his deputy and my secretary, and we've looked them over, and we are confident that this is the best thing for us.
You're happy with all the lowest bidders?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Can I just a rough idea, what's the percentage of increase compared to last year's bids?
With the fuel cost, basically, is all that's gone up. Other than that, it's around the same. So just your average increases.
Yeah, last year was
What we
high.
see all over, that's the increase.
Everybody sees all the lowest bidders are awarded the approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you very much. No additions, no budget transfers. Comments? Highway Soup, how are you?
I'm good.
We woke you up then with the...
Well, you guys had me going there with that paving discussion.
Yeah,
I
you
wanna
were
thank
all
you
excited there, huh? Look at you.
Hey, I fight for you, but I don't make as much money as you do. I just want the record to show that.
You guys are making me very happy, so. Anyway, everybody knows we had our big snowstorm last Tuesday, the 14th. I would like to thank everybody that came out to work with us, all the men and women in my department, the fire department, the police department. We all worked together. It was a very long storm, and we got through it. Really no major events.
How about John Paraskiva? How'd he do?
John was there the whole time.
He did good?
He was good.
Oh.
John wants to say something, I think. See what you did now?
Welcome up.
I can tell you this for a fact.
Comedy night here tonight.
That I normally work with didn't make it.
No?
I had to do the whole top of the mountain by myself.
All alone?
Very much. The payday will be nice.
I'm going to buy you a cup of coffee next time. A small one.
I was going to say medium.
So also, I'd like to thank all the board members and town supervisor. Everyone reached out to me throughout the storm. Town supervisor stopped by the garage. We talked numerous times throughout the event. And like I said, it went well. We haven't had a large storm like that in quite some time. And with that said, we have spent over a week now doing tree cleanup from the winter storm. We've been cutting limbs that have been hanging, that were broken. We've been picking up the branches off the side of the road, and we still have probably a few more days of that to do. And then we should be pretty much cleaned up. We are always working on our potholes. The blacktop plants will be opening soon, so we're looking to, get a little more material than what we normally carry in our hot box paving machine. We can send out a large dump truck and we can cover more ground. Our pipe crews have been working with underground piping that has been collapsing, and we've been replacing over by Long Hill, Seaman Road, and also we've been doing some shoulder work when we have decent weather and we can get out on, we've been working on Rushmore Road, trying to cut shoulders back because that road is very narrow in spots. With that said, we're getting ready for spring, and again, I'd like to thank everybody that helped us with the storm, and fire and police. Can't say enough. Thank you.
Thanks, Highway Soup. Police Chief, how are you?
Good. Thank you again for you guys, for your continuing support. Really appreciate it, and good job.
Thank you.
We weren't late to one call, all 3 dozen of them. And you guys were awesome, too. Thanks again for being there. For the last 30 years I've been doing this. I'm going to start off with a little fire department thing. The young man that you hired today, Nicholas McSorley, he's actually a volunteer EMT and a volunteer firefighter with our fire department. And he couldn't be here tonight because he is doing training up at the 911 center. So that's what kind of kid we hired tonight.
Excellent.
Good kid, good hire then, for sure.
I'll try to shorten mine up a little bit since it's been a long night. Since our last voting meeting, we've done a little over 2,000 calls for service. With 32 arrests, we actually took an illegal handgun off the streets. We've had 2 burglaries since our last meeting. My detective solved one, and my patrol officers, they worked together, solved one right away, recovered the property, and another one is under investigation. As far as meetings and training go, so continue to work on our project with Dutchess County Office of Information Services to go with our new software project. We had 4 training sessions with that. Officer Bertoli, Detective Dowdy, and Detective Nichols all participated with instructor at the police academy for self-defense spray firearms training. Myself, I did several meetings with Mid-Hudson Association of Chiefs of Police for some training at my level with regards to first responder wellness, suicide prevention for first responders and veterans, banking fraud, and aviation protocol. So if we need a helicopter, I got the phone numbers, we're good. Our SROs have been very busy. They attended several safety team meetings with the school district, conducted several lockdown drills throughout the school district, and attended a threat assessment and active shooter training specifically related to schools. We did some debriefing training. Basically, it's techniques developed to obtain information from witnesses, from victims, from suspects. There's a lot of information out there if you know how to get it. Use of force. So every year we do what's called Article 35 training, and that is our ability to justify use of force. So now the next phase of that is defensive tactics. Going actually hands-on with individuals. That training will start next week. And rounding off, we talked about young Mr. McSorley. We talked about the training upcoming. And the last thing is, on March 9th, the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services Accreditation Council voted to approve our agency to be certified accredited agency for the next 5 years. That vote just took place, so we are good for the next 5 years. A lot of that credit goes to Detective Sean Phillips and my right-hand man, Lieutenant Derek Cuccia. Thank you very much. And with regards to these child safety seats, we are scheduled to go on Monday to commit grand larceny and obtain about 24 free car seats that we use for our inspections and installation. Basically, sometimes these seats are expired by the manufacturers. We can't reinstall them. We can't allow them to pass inspection, so we can provide individuals in need with a seat right away. Sometimes they're in a crunch period and they need that seat. So we're able to, officers Montagner and Vollmer were the individuals that put together this crime of getting all these things for free. So we'll do that on Monday, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Chief. Make sure that you keep that new police assistant away from John Paraskiva. Okay, clerk, town clerk.
Just real quick, April 1st, so everybody remembers, is Town Cleanup Day. Been going for 27 years, and there's still garbage on the sides of the road. Registration here at the Town Hall between 8 and 8:30. Then we'll go out and clean up some roads, and lunch will be provided by East Fishkill Provision for the 26th, 7th year in a row.
You're looking at me like I'm getting
You
a
get a
bill.
new shirt. This year, there's a new design shirt.
I saw them. They
Stop
look
in and
good.
register.
I want a special one for Councilman Arco.
I want to go to the training where the police officers are fighting and grappling. Come on, let's go.
Thanks, clerk. Councilman Arco.
Quick updates. Been working with the Highway Department. Still working with the Highway Superintendent on equipment and labor needs for 2023 as our town grows. We're also working on a future proactive plan for when time comes for equipment replacements. We're researching available grants to offset future equipment needs, but it's a long, tedious process researching. Last month, we definitely jinxed ourselves with the snowstorm.
It has been a pleasure to work with you, Craig.
Thank you, thank you. Crews were out during the snowstorm throughout the night. You guys did an awesome job. Didn't see many complaints on social media, which was awesome.
That's a good thing.
A lot of compliments, actually. On the fire and rescue squad, rescue side, this past month's been very busy with calls. On March 6th, they had 14 calls in total, with one being a major structure fire, maybe two. Was there two fires? One major, one minor. At the same time, East Fishkill Police were supporting any fire department needs and also dealing with multiple calls on their own at the same time. Very proud of all the first responders and feel we're very fortunate and lucky to have them as part of our community. Also this month, we introduced 2 new seats for the planning board member support. Fire district and the fire advisory board now are present at the actual planning board meetings. To have this presence at the meeting gives us the ability to ensure all fire department related questions have been asked and addressed. This should also hopefully reduce the time from application to permit issuance. Many people helped me set this up. Thank you very much for all the admins and everybody involved. And everybody's been great supporting me and getting these seats that the fire department really wanted to participate in. No problem. You're welcome. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Marinello.
Just basically working with our local police department, and we had a couple of meetings. One of the meetings with the town supervisor, just keeping in touch with our police officers, make sure that all their needs are addressed, and that if there is anything that they need from the town board, you know, we listen to their comments and we take everything in consideration. I did stop a few times at the police station to say hello to different people, and I did the same thing during the snowstorm. Kenny was on the disabled list that day. He had a little issue prior to that, but I stopped and said hello to the guys over there. So, yeah, all in all, everything is good, and I want to thank you guys and the volunteer for their extreme well job that they perform on a daily basis. I mean, and again, if anyone out there, no matter the age, there are different positions in the volunteer fire department that you could take. And you should be amazed, anybody that has any free time in the community, please contact our local fire department and join their forces to help our community. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Franco.
Okay. The clerk, he's funny. April 1st starts registration for adult pickleball clinics being held in May at the Lime Kiln Rec Facility. Youth volleyball clinics, we have a few spots that are left for these clinics that start in May. You can call the rec or register online for both of those. That's eastfishkillrecreation.com. April 8th is the annual Easter egg hunt, which is hosted by the Rec and the East Fishkill PBA. That's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the community center. Residents can register, again, at eastfishkillrecreation.com. There'll be music by DJ Bob Martinson, snacks, a petting zoo, touch a truck from our highway department, glitter tattoos, balloons, animals, goodie bags, pictures with the Easter Bunny, and Paw Patrol. Summer camp registration is still open for those that are interested. March 27th starts registration for a Catskills Casino trip, which will be on May 21st. $40 a person, $15 food voucher, $25 for free slots. To register, call Rec or go on the website. So opening day is around the corner. Looking forward to another great year in East Fishkill Recreation, seeing the kids get out there and play some ball. I'd like to thank Butch and his crew for all the hard work that he's been doing to get the fields ready for everyone. And a special thank you to our Rec Director, Christine Selbach, for all her hard work. I'm very glad that we got somebody to help her, that very busy office.
Yes. And did you forgot to mention something, that our East Fishkill Summer Camp has been nominated for Best of the Hudson Valley in Hudson Valley Magazine. The voting is on now, so please go to hudsonvalleymagazine.com and vote for East Fishkill Summer Camp for Best of the Hudson Valley.
All right.
Yeah, one of only three nominees, so. Thank you, Councilman. I'd like to make a mention of one of our residents, Ramesh Merchandani. He is on our Economic Development Committee, and also he's come recently trying to engage more about culture and the arts in our town, trying to get more and more. In September, they did an artist showcase featuring mostly graphic arts that was also helped by Gloria Government from our library. Thank you. So the next thing that they're trying to do is a performing arts. It's a free classical music concert on June 11th at 4 o'clock. It's by the Howland Chamber Music Circle. It will be at the Hopewell Reformed Church. Why would they pick that venue is because they have very good acoustics, a very good audience size capacity, and several other, they have other logistics that they need, music stands, piano, other things that was very well. So thank you to Hopewell Reformed Church and the pastor, and thank you to Mr. Merchandani for trying to push culture and the arts here in our town. Also, I'd like to mention Mr. Arco. Thank you for putting forward for the member of the FAB and the fire commissioners to sit on the board. I got a letter from our chairman of the planning board thanking us for that, so thank you very much. And I just like to wish my wife a very happy 22nd wedding anniversary. I love you. And our next meeting is our workshop, April 13th. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We adjourn. Thank you.